Mystery font. We can wake wax from wane. Many ways. Amelioration. Relays. Synaptically liaise. Let's help clear the ways. Let's help clear a safe way. Clearing danger. Displacing the fray. RSB is different every time, and things that are in the way of humanity and human potential in our effort to ameliorate existence can become a part of the piece. Case in point, why is Stephen Miller attacking DEI? Why is Stephen Miller attacking DEI? Why do we see flagrant, horrific abuse of human rights and Americans' rights? Why is Stephen Miller attacking DEI? Because white male supremacy didn't earn it. White male supremacy is Ku Klux Klan answer. It's abominable violence and lies. White male supremacy is horse shit. And that's why Stephen Miller and other racist saboteurs conducting sabotage want to remove from our view that DEI is humanity. But intuition cannot be removed from people. We recognize that access is basic and that inclusion and equitable inclusion of everyone across the diversity of humanity is basic to being a functional, decent person. And Stephen Miller is a bigot who wants to erase humanity. This is a demonstrably racist, bigoted administration working to stamp out divergent people, diversity. They are clearly targeting the global majority, and it is abominable. It is abominable. It is the Ku Klux Klan. We have Kremlins because we let them in, and we need to remove them. They are traitors. They are violent. They are wantonly demonstrating havoc-level hatred and contempt for human life. They're showing contempt for due process and habeas corpus, which protects, those things protect human life. Those things protect law and order. The effort to attach language into a budget bill that removes judges' abilities to stop unconstitutional acts by the president is part of sowing bigoted, racist havoc with impunity, sowing white supremacist terrorism. Stephen Miller is conducting a lynch mob and throwing people into razor gears to demonstrate the right to do so. We are being attacked by someone following a Sudetenland, I grab you by the crotch to demonstrate I can grab you there, and you get used to it while I grab you more where. I grab you wherever where. I grab you anywhere. I grab you everywhere. They are Nazis. They are traitors. And if you want to leverage the presidency to shatter checks and balances, there's a myth in there that you are strengthening the presidency. It's like the myth that removing the separation between church and state would somehow strengthen something of worth. You destroy the presidency of a democratic republic by doing what Donald Trump and Stephen Miller and Kevin Roberts and Curtis Yarvin and Peter Thiel and J.D. Vance are trying to do. They are working by flooding every zone with shitty attack to use wartime aggression and violence against a population to rewrite where the lines of society's acceptability and abominable behavior will be. They are murdering the resistance. They are renditioning and terrorizing the resistance. We stop it now because it's possible. Because once we recognize a sapient iceberg working to devour, we stop the process. Once we realize it is a dissection, not an operation to restore health to a body, we eject Dr. Musk. We eject the Mengele called Miller. We eject and reject and put to healthcare and accountability Nazi butchers and rapists. That's what. This is in the way. This is working to make the largest wealth transfer from the middle class and the poor to murder, to give that wealth to people who do not need it. And we're doing it while conducting brown replacement. Stephen Miller is a Nazi. His claims about immigrants are false. He is a butcher He is a fucking monster. We arrest them for putting any effort forward towards a unitary executive. We arrest people who put language into a bill that would remove judicial ability or remove funding that would allow people to pursue contempt charges. When someone puts something into the mix that's not chocolate chips and they say, no, those sprinkles are good, those sprinkles will be great. We don't only trust. Trust, but verify. If you're negotiating, you trust, but verify. Who are we dealing with after all? We are dealing with someone who said he could shoot us. Who are we dealing with? You are in an abusive relationship. Shocking boundary violations are one common grooming tactic of a narcissist or dark triad personality. If someone in your life points into a camera knowing you'll be looking at the view screen and pulls their finger like a trigger, looking into your eyes, saying, I could shoot someone in the street and not lose anyone, it is a good indicator of a bad situation. You are in an abusive relationship. Who has leveraged and climbed upon a fog of falsehood? Who has donned the falsehood? Who is the falsehood? We cannot strengthen the presidency by creating totalitarian power. It is no longer a presidency if we destroy our human rights, our equality, our inalienable rights, and checks and balances that are our substrate for fairness and equality that every person is supposed to be able to enjoy. And every person should be able to do the math to see that you're either including everyone or you're not. You're either making exclusion or you're not. The Trump authoritarian regime is categorically stripping human rights from everyone but white, straight acting men. From white, cis, straight, or straight acting men. It is discriminatory terrorism. It is theft. And we're talking about human rights atrocities if you are removing human rights or disregarding them for some. It's not merely a complete confession that all of the rancid minds who have, in fear, held behind the hood at the end of the Confederacy, at the criminalization of the disgusting, racist, enslaving toxin of the Ku Klux Klan's Confederacy. It has been gaslight. It has been gaslight and lies all along. That there remains a contingent of murdering, looting rapists upon whom the worst boogeymen are created. And for centuries they have been based upon the tales and deeds of white men and white women. Because they are, if we look, they are the tributary, because people who look like me and my ancestors have been where the actual abominable, criminal, devil wrong comes from, period. The facts are the facts, and they would show that anybody who wants to cover up the past of that and say it wasn't a big deal or was right, in fact, is more of the same toxic, terrorist, evil crime. Donald Trump and Stephen Miller are part of a Nazi confederacy. They are participating in racist, bigoted, murderous, looting, raping evil They are using a spiritual and religious figure and prophet to humankind, in or outside of religion, a figure of leadership that many people care about, in total betrayal of the mission of that herald. They stand as an antichrist force. They spew toxic lies about white replacement in order to be able to sow brown replacement. They are criminals. They came in through lies and intimidation. They came in through the falsehood. And they came in through violence, through terrorism, because apparently more than one person in Congress, more than one Republican, more than one person in Congress has mentioned receiving death threats that made them vote yes on people like Pete Hegseth. The only president to have sown and instigated and invited insurrection and then watched it unfold like any general or gang leader does, often from a safe distance, and then said he did nothing wrong, and then went and sang with them, spitting the Pledge of Allegiance over them, barking terroristically our national anthem, like they are not doing that with traitorous, violent mouths. So this element of white supremacist patriarchal terror and absolute corporate greed making a grab for the largest redistribution of wealth ever. And through mass murder and terrorism. Through the racist projection of lies. Through the projection of the violent, racist evil of Stephen Miller onto other people, he is sowing that kind of violence in the name of preventing that kind of violence. They are Nazis. It's not fun to confront it. It's worse to continue to not recognize what it is so that we can peacefully stop it now. We can't escape a predator if we cannot play. We cannot escape a predator if we are crushed into the tiny compartment they will allow our minds. Be not prey to predator today. Be play. as imagination may be game. To play today if you are game. I say, imagination aim. Might may be nature, your creature would aim to create, your creation may update imagination's aim. You may be the game or the creator or its times or its explanation. Please explain. Please distill without disdain. Radio, science, brain. Radio, science, brain. Emancipate the mind's elation from one nation to a nation made of us, calling new colossus. It is the obvious, most ominous, and actuant and appropriate response. It's an appropriate response. It is dialing all of us at once. Calling colossal love, calling colossal all of it, all of. Calling new colossus at once, abundant. Comeuppance. Imagination's aim may be nature, our name, our names might coalesce and inflate. Radio, science, brain. Be not prey to predator today. Be play, as imagination may be game. mystery font, we continue to experience massive distortions in the field of reality. To be nimble, that we might be able to see, to notice, and know what to do when we perceive the falsehood. For sometimes the falsehood is found and applied, donned, not only as an age, but donned as a cowl, through technique or willingness. To cloud humans' minds so they cannot see them. It turns out that all of our stories are meditations about the ability to perceive the falsehood. All of our exploration is about finding the verity and not dwelling upon, but recognizing when we come upon it and knowing what to do. The falsehood. Who would promote massive distortions in reality? Who, when told of a storm coming, isn't careful about if the volume is too low? Who promotes massive distortions in the field of reality? Who is told of a coming storm and holds it as a valuable card until the time when they want to provoke or prompt or sick upon the population a panic? I say again, imagination aim, become became, the mind just may be safe aim, intuition's tradition, its erudition is germane. It's not all that we contain, but it's a lot. It's our weather vane. We are not more inane than inane could be. Existence is sane, and we are sane, and love is sane. I think it can be, we can contain a safe substrate without being pursued by punishing monsters in a false, holy claim. Imagination's aim may just name what our nature would be here to create or help before too late. Today, what would league mean if league would be what would the Justice League of America do for family? What would the Justice League of America do to calm and soothe and relieve of all weaponry ridiculous traitors like the Proud Boys or ridiculous traitors like Patriot Front? We need people who have been led astray from humanity to have access to health care. It's not only exactly the scapegoats who are being harmed or will be harmed. Mental health and safety and stability in society that everyone can count on. That's not only good for some people, that's good. We want stability. And we're not so stupid as to swallow the Stephen Miller hoax that his anti-DEI tirade is anything but bigotry. It's pretty easy to see when an adherent of the Ku Klux Klan and Hitler, like Stephen Miller, comes in saying he's here to stop discrimination and therefore removes protection for anyone but the oppressors in racism, the oppressors in misogyny, the oppressors in white supremacist patriarchal terrorism. That now the Civil Rights Division is turned against the mission of civil rights and is a Gestapo proclaimed by its new leader to be about persecuting people who are perceived to target or to have anti-Christian bias, I guess. It's another attack, quite clearly, on separation of church and state in terms of instituting or establishing religion or vaunting a religion above others. And it's a hoax, much like the idea of white genocide in South Africa, the idea that that Christianity is not safe in America is ridiculous. Likewise, the idea that were it so, that to therefore put it in totalitarian control under one person's definition, likewise insane. What does league mean in a world where extremists who have taken occupational and military power are working demonstrably with everything that Hitler learned from the Klan and everything that Hitler learned from World War II, and military-grade technology and insane escalating wealth? What does the Justice League become? Because I think our stories that we foster meaning in, including are fictional stories. We have to live up to them, and we have to step through them into reality, because we're not watching a movie. We're watching a coup by horrific bigots. We're watching terrorism against the global majority unfold in this country, and it's completely unacceptable and horrifically wrong and criminal, and it has to be stopped. They have to be removed. They are terrorist murderers and lynch mobbers. That is who has power. Stephen Miller is a lynch mobber. He is a murderer. They're not attacking due process and habeas corpus to one day in the distant future think about impugning someone's free decision about which way they're walking home. They are killing and torturing and renditioning people now, after being directly told, being checked and balanced. They uncheck and are unbalanced. It is crime. It is wanton, knowing, intentional coercion and attack against our Constitution by Stephen Miller and the Heritage Foundation and Nazis like Curtis Yarvin and Peter Thiel. We are under attack. It will be apparent too late if we don't look at what should be apparent right now. We need to come to sanity. We need a fairness doctrine. We need people to arrest traitors. We need people to arrest traitors who would put into legislative budget language that would strip judges' ability to check the President of the United States from atrocities. Period. We need to recognize that someone escalating and altering the presidency doesn't strengthen it, they destroy it. He's working to destroy the presidency of the United States. He's working to take us over with a murdering, racist confederacy. It's not just, oh, is it that bad? It's way, way, way worse. It's way worse. It's definitely that bad. We have to stop it. This is not a difference of opinion about how to continue America. They are gutting us, and whatever name they put or keep on us is immaterial unless we stop their material crimes now. Right now. We save thousands of acres or millions of acres. We save thousands of lives or millions of lives by acting now, as if people swore allegiance to the Constitution and recognize we can't defend it if it's gone. based on people's claims and lynch mob rumor mill language like that of Stephen Miller, we are trusting without verification. We are being coerced and forced and terrorized. We are being attacked. This is not what the result of a peaceful transfer of power looks like. This is not a presidential administration. They are Nazi, patriarchal, corporate raiders. They are swallowing and chewing us whole unless we stand up in the mouth and break open the jaw of white supremacy by getting up and walking. We have to walk out of the mouth of 1850, now, forward into the future, right now. Radio, science, brain. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. We're not moving. We become used to the privilege of being a national body that can move and individuals that can move. We're becoming stagnant because we're being tied down, and we're not getting reports because we're being dissected. We're not getting weather reports because NOAA's been stolen and vandalized. These are things that happen in wartime. We're experiencing damage that we should put on the screen next to a checklist. All of the things cut, amputated, murdered, sacrificed, stolen in the name of combating waste and fraud by someone without credentials. Being gutted. Being gutted by someone known for not paying their bills. The world is rightfully downgrading trust. Rightfully. Because delirious narcissistic vendetta and the use of Darvo is all Stephen Miller and Trump have. They are mercenaries for wealth, and they're horrific bigots. They're installing white supremacist patriarchal terrorism. They intentionally train or don't train or mistrain people to treat America like a war zone full of riffraff criminal con artists. They're treating us like we're lucky to survive the kidnapping. It is crime. A wanton bullshit scavenger hunt list that gives people credits and now they're pitched over a border into a knife prison. That is a plan by Stephen Miller to racially profile and murder people, to remove them from the protection of the United States illegally, with the capital silent underline saying, white says so, because white says so. Why read the line between the lines? It's all written there in white. Because it is white supremacist patriarchal terrorism. Because they are murdering, torturing, and renditioning brown people out of the country because they are racist, criminal terrorists. Because the horrific murderers and bigots who haven't processed in generations the reality, or have guarded under gaslight the reality, have simply confessed with their chest that they want white men to be able to rape little kids. They want white men to be able to hold people hostage. They want white men to have slaves. They want white men and white women to torture people recreationally. They want pastors to have the pick of young children. They want narcissists because they are trapped in cycles of lauding and worshiping punishment and punishers. Horrific abusers like J.D. Vance and Curtis Yarvin. Horrific, raping, murdering, criminal, looting abusers like Donald Trump. When he says, no one's ever been persecuted like me, look at all of the bodies that piled up the minute he came to town. Just look in the previous scene. When you hear an outrageous claim, when you hear any claim at all, just look in the previous scene. Just look at what he's not saying. Just look at what he is claiming without fact, with a tone of fact. All you have to do is drill down on any one thing, and you will find rotten, sour shit. It is an attack. We have been under siege by the mechanism of the Heritage Foundation and Moms for Liberty for decades, but certainly for 10 years. Certainly through a breach broken by the flatulent, magnificent, great ass of the falsehood. We have to recognize it, and we have to rescue our brain, our collective brain and mind. We have to rescue it. Because as shitty as this drug-fueled amusement park disaster ride is, as bad as it is, some people are intoxicated by it, and a lot of people are protected by it, at least protected from looking what would have to be dealt with if we were taking accountability. Not just paying reparations, but for people who have rested on the poisonous laurels of white supremacy, the idea, I think it comes kind of down to they're trying to give white people the ability to not be spoken down to by anybody else. They're trying to give that kind of $1850 that they're going to try to pass off as 1950. They're bringing back some people are not people, some people are better than other people. Terrorist bullshit. They want to go back to a time when some people were able to live under the misconception that, oh, you know, it wasn't so bad, and I just don't see race, while redlining is happening, while lynch mob slave patrols are still being trained like lynch mob slave patrols and not reformed or replaced with peace officers who are officers of the peace. What would a Justice League of America look like? We have to remember Superman's greatest power is no matter how much power he has, he cannot summon the power to turn against good. His power is that he will use whatever power he's given to be good. That's the whole thing. He'd be a big deal even if he couldn't punch through things that other people can't punch through. I mean, every other version is just some other version of Elon Musk. It's just someone with a hot rod that they joyride in and maim half a neighborhood with. So amidst ongoing distortions in a 10-year siege, what is League?
I made a speech. I looked out. The field was, it looked like 1.5 million people. They showed a field where there were practically nobody standing there.
The new White House press secretary, Sean Spicer, gave his first press briefing. He was also highly critical of some media organisations of the way he felt they had misrepresented the number of people who'd attended Friday's inauguration ceremony.
No one had numbers because the National Park Service, which controls the National Mall, does not put any out. This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period, both in person and around the globe.
It does not excuse, and you did not answer the question.
I did answer
your question.
No,
you did not. You did not answer the question of why the president asked the White House press secretary to come out in front of the podium for the first time and utter a falsehood. Why did he do that? It undermines the credibility of the entire White House press office on day one.
Don't be so overly dramatic about it, Chuck. You're saying it's a falsehood, and Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts to that.
Largest ever.
The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts aren't factual actually. The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts aren't factual actually. The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts aren't factual actually. The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts aren't factual actually. The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts aren't factual actually. The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts aren't factual actually. The falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts aren't factual actually. falsehood will tell you intuition's faulty. The falsehood will tell you facts aren't factual.
You see, it is generated through the use of actual intelligence. The words and how they change, the melody, the harmonies, how it changes. It's not done using AI. This is in camera and overlay of in-camera material modified but built, and the ideas are written down previously or are coming to me in real time, as is the case with Radio Science Brain. This is HI. This is human intelligence. And I think it's superior to artificial intelligence. It may take, or be best when it takes, humanity and human beings to choose where we're putting our attention and how and for what purpose. We shouldn't want to remove human attention. We shouldn't want to remove humans from doing things that give humans joy. What are we doing things for anyway? We're not here to remove ourselves from here. What is the sentient frame? What is our mind's own aim? What is the game, or the chance, or the hope, or the fun, or the sake of play? It's only partially that you're maybe more likely to be prey for predator today if you are not play. You may be prey, may be more likely in some way. It doesn't mean it's a daydream day, but maybe the day dreams away, not away from, but a way through, your way to imagination's aim. Maybe from a field love exclaims your name in a language your brain prearranged and drank before other language came, and reminded you of the mention of our ascensions, the attention through time and space, and its habitual remention. We are a mentionary, after all, of spacious, timely thought across it all. Observing and hopefully learning as this sentience slowly unfurls and we're reminded how we found or have seen before or see others have seen before all the pearls. What is it that Elon Musk says he's targeting? He's targeting awareness. He's targeting being awake. He's targeting caring about people. He's targeting intelligence, really. He's mystifying and lying about genius and intelligence. He's just the Andrew Tate version of Steve Jobs, I guess. You have someone who's just really more of a speculator and con man. With as much as we've not been ready for that Steve Jobs has given us, maybe somewhat recklessly, the dark triad malice apparent in Elon Musk, apparent in Vance and Trump and Yarvin and Miller. It's a bandwidth of abominable, violent hate. That posits its own demonstrable, violent habits. Pauses those only to hoax that others are doing that sort of thing. And the hoax, of course, is made as pretext. The alacrity, the inspiration that Stephen Miller feels to lie and scapegoat to essentially carbon copy language used about people during the Holocaust and World War II to communities here, and to use so much time and attention to demonstrate he will not give time or attention to the humanity or suffering or righteousness of the claims of people he has attacked and renditioned in contravention of United States law and international law. They're outlaws. They're attacking people. They're kidnapping people off the streets. This Ku Klux Klan gang of ICE is more or less, I mean, they're coming pretty close to just unmasking as the Klan, unmasking as a masked force, as a force of terrorism, of protection racketeering and sundown town and terrorism through intimidation and violence. The behavior is that and of a lynch mob, making massive, vicious claims, and if those claims are shown false or a question is raised, they show contempt for the idea of repairing error that is supposed to be about, the whole thing is about protecting fairness and good. And the sociopathic glee or calmness with which Stephen Miller does not address wrong and suffering and atrocity done to people by America, let alone by him, these are human rights crimes and they're war crimes. We are under attack. We are experiencing an invasion, but the big lie that Stephen Miller is using here, we are not being invaded by immigrants. We can sort out issues with immigration. Especially, without a blockade by Trump stopping an immigration deal, we can deal with immigration. But why does he do things as he does? Why does he attack DEI? Because he's a massive racist. And because it all is to hide the truth that it is in fact, contrary to the slurs that white supremacists would say, it's in fact white male supremacy that didn't earn it. That it's demonstrably criminal, terroristic, evil bullshit. What kind of sociopath goes after due process? What kind of sociopath abuses human beings for, it seems pretty clear, the opportunity to use that person to go after due process, to abuse them, to ensure that they're being tortured and afraid for their life, and that the entirety of the country is watching this play out and watching the person in charge of policy for the White House, pretty clearly the acting president, showing us what is important to him. To angrily round up people, to, with such venomous, righteous anger, round up people intentionally to get all kinds of false positives. It's it's plain to see they're doing massive racial profiling and refusing to look at people's identification, or they're contravening standing orders to not deport people. They're not listening when someone says, I was born here, I'm a citizen, here's my passport. They're demonstrably harming people. Like, you really shouldn't be anywhere near needing to call for due process. It should be so apparent in the way that everything is going that due process is in process. It should be so clear that you would never need to invoke habeas corpus. And that were there some need to do it, should be no problem with that being effectively resolved and recognized and treated with protocols that make sense. These are acid poured into the gears from inside. These are all kinds of sabotage. Removing due process is sabotage to democracy. Like removing NOAA is sabotage to our safety for myriad reasons. Like cutting off food support for children who don't have access to food is sabotage. It is human rights atrocity, wartime crime level sabotage. We will recognize sooner or later that we have been incurring wartime damage, that the United States is incurring wartime damage from attacks by MAGA. And essentially by Vladimir Putin. If they're already in our system, if they're already comfortably inside, we're far beyond the time when we should be considering alarms. We're far beyond the time when we should have already arrested Trump and Stephen Miller. Trump should have been arrested when he went after judges before he was ever reelected. Merrick Garland should have done his job. We are the stewards of this democratic republic. Anyone who is aware of what's happening right now are the last stewards of this democratic republic unless we don't give up, unless we see the right side of history unfold power by holding accountable tyranny and removing it. It's not a small thing. There are multiple, not a small things about the big, beautiful bill that are decimating. We can't allow AI to be unregulated for 10 years. That's suicidal, and definitely fosters crime. And just massive levels of pain for people, and it just is incredibly unsafe. But we have to gut from it. We have to gut from this behemoth bill. We have to save and hold checks and balances. We have to hold in the hands of judges the power to bring injunction, to stop unconstitutional actions by the president. We can't fold this into something else without rupturing the presidency. We lose everything if we don't defend the actual basic substrate. If we allow the presidency to be corrupted, it vanishes. The effect makes this not just not a movie. The effect makes it the beginning of a new franchise of sequels that we don't want to ever be forced to imagine our way through day by day of. We need to stop this insanity. Arrest Stephen Miller. Arrest saboteurs. Arrest those working for a unitary executive power held solely by anyone, and certainly recognize when the person trying to establish it is a known rapist, a known lurker. When we're talking about giving absolute power to Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, we might want to think again. When we're thinking that it's okay for the person in charge of policy for the White House gave us kids in cages, we might want to think again. We might want to recognize that we are encouraging the continuation of what has been and continues to be wartime damage. We are not at war. We are on the receiving side of war. We need to remove the parties conducting the war. No more enabling. We can give them help, but help removes them from power. Radio, science, brain.
Save the presidency. From the president, please save the presidency. From the president, please. Save the presidency from the president, please. Save the presidency from the president, please. Save the presidency from the president, please. Save democracy from atrocity. Save us, all of us, omnibus at once. Be sorry. Colossus, the ominous, obvious response. This is the blindness sound. We make up a constitution as a nation, not just a document. We are the renovation of this whole occupation. Save the presidency from the president, please, while we can be democracy. Save the presidency from the president's greed. Save the presidency from the president. Please be woven against the weave. We've had enough to see. And save the presidency from the president. Please save the presidency from the president. Please save the presidency from the president. Please be woven against the weave, because we've had enough. We've seen and slipped on the shit, falling out of this machine, this cult of personality, screaming it is above everyone. We're not so done, so dumb. We are as one. Equality is how we arrive. It's our constitution, inscribed with inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's not in the future, that's here now. That's supposed to happen. Our laws permit and allow and protect. That's due process. We are not done yet. Don't cancel all the parts of our body from existing unless we're no longer a circulatory system. If we're no longer a body at all, then please uninstall, cut it all, cut it all. If we're canceling the future of the United States, if we're being loaded onto cars as freight, then cancel the education of our children, because we're going to kill them. Cut the forests and sell them, because we won't need them. Cut it down, shut it down, sell it to the suckers at the top, because it's all going to stop. If it's all going to stop, sell it once, now make one chop. But if we are still going to live, then we have to give that other part of the contract a gift of a little look, a little look. What's there in the sieve? Maybe we need the optimism that there is tomorrow. Maybe we should have schools, maybe we should have rules, maybe we should have pools and parks where we're all safe to commune and use. Maybe we need a country unless we're canceling the future. What is it to be? Do we save the presidency, or are we canceling democracy? It's one where we're all we, or one where it's ended totally. It's all of us or none, it's our optimum, where efficiency efficiently holds everyone. Imagination aim might contain that we see. We are neither waste nor fraud. Our pain germane, and our love is germane. Human beings are germane. Anyone who's rationalizing or reasoning the cutting of human lives are indistinguishable from Nazis. If you do not see your part in humanity such that you are planning to kill children and people who may need help in a way you may need help at some point, you have internalized white supremacist patriarchal terrorism, and you have become a danger to yourself and the people around you, because no one is supposed to hunt people and target them when they're down. You miserable, monstrous, lost soul. And you deserve love and safety and kindness, whether or not you have a bigger shield than someone, whether or not you have a weapon, whether or not you have money. We are being groomed by Stephen Miller and Donald Trump and Curtis Yarvin to believe that we should be lucky to be allowed to live. We are being groomed to submit. We are being groomed to submit. Not only do we need to be strong enough to say no and articulate the reasons why we deserve to exist as anyone does, we need to have the moral courage to also make space for play. Because if we are not play, imagination itself may be game as prey. Do you know that you can do anything? You can even recognize the truth of what I'm saying and fail to live up to the dream or the inspiration it would give you if you realized you deserve and can have a part in a world where people are treating each other with kindness and humanity, where divergence is appreciated, and that includes you. You are the renovation of love's imagination. Beware of people who tell you you don't want to be awake. Beware of people who would demonize a word like woke, and who would use the word again and again and again as a diabolical knife, while being unable to explain anything negative about the word, other than tarry rumors they throw at the word. To be woke to what is happening around us. To know our world enough, and our neighborhood and people around us enough, and ourselves enough, and to be cognizant enough that we are able to successfully love our neighbor as we love ourselves. It's basic. And anyone claiming to follow a herald like Christ shouldn't have to have that explained to them. But they will, until they stop acting like Nazis. And definitely that includes stepping back from threats to try to erase separations between church and state.
stepping back from trying to reintroduce segregation, stepping back from trying to enslave women or to resew residential schools. We're witnessing a slow motion confession that it's just been the Ku Klux Klan want to come back and hurt people again all along. That's all Stephen Miller is elegantly not saying and saying at the same time, is that it's the Confederacy or else. And we have to recognize that, as terrifying as it is that someone would say that, try to wage that, we enable it if we don't do more than shout it down. But we have to shout it down. And then we have to administer care and actual physical boundaries. We have to stop Nazis from grabbing and holding the mic and talking to people for thousands of hours. We have to stop Stephen Miller and Curtis Yarvin from gathering murderous lynch mobs. And we can do it by saying right now how clear the plan is. And attributing it to source and stopping it. If democracy doesn't have a trap to spring, then I guess then we're that thing. We have to recognize that we are guardians of liberty. We have to find a way to speak with one voice about things that we all know must be for a safe, democratic republic to exist. Why would anyone like Stephen Miller or Donald Trump make a demonstrable falsehood that's plainly untrue in front of the world? The veracity of which is so clearly non-existent. Why would you do that with an equal contempt for the truth, an equal mens rea to do harm with it? Why would you intentionally lie to people while really flashing that it's a lie? The reason that Trump and Miller have done this again and again, more recently with saying that a 9-0 Supreme Court decision against them was instead in their favor. This kind of thing is done to terrorize us and coerce us to submit to having no impact whatsoever on whether or not they behave in consequence or comportment with their oaths, that they can do or say anything or threaten anything, and we are totally powerless. It is to coerce us to submit, to give up, and be lied to with submission. that's a problem. That's a huge, huge, deadly problem. Because when Stephen Miller says to Trump in the Oval Office, pretty clearly explaining to him, or at least giving the appearance and the shelter of, well, let me inform you here, as if President Trump is a consultant that they call in once in a while, informing him that a ruling about due process and the protection of a citizen, of someone in the country who we had renditioned falsely, illegally, to likely torture and murder. And Miller calls the person who clearly is innocent. Miller lies, saying that they're a terrorist still, disregarding other evidence, disregarding that the DOJ had said that they'd made a mistake, disregarding that they had not provided due process. He informs Trump that the decision declaring that everyone gets due process and that Abrigo Garcia must be returned said the opposite. That is a massive, massive, massive big lie. The swing, I mean, there are multiple things in there, but he's informing us. He's demonstrating that he is in charge, or baiting us, at least, to see a structure of people, or Stephen Miller holding a structure of people who are playing out a series of agenda items that President Stephen Miller wants carried out. And informing his PR balloon, Donald Trump, of what works and how to say it. There's a stunning similarity, too, in the defining something as what you want to make people think of it as. Like with abandon, because I would wager that Kristi Noem's definition of habeas corpus came directly from Stephen Miller. Because this is the method, that the opportunity to be in front of a microphone and answer a question is an opportunity for a Trojan horse, is an opportunity for a massive mischaracterization that throws people off the scent of reality, so that millions of people have seen Stephen Miller on Fox and Newsmax and OAN, if that still exists, that millions of people are seeing claims like this. For instance, hearing Kristi Noem make the claim that habeas corpus, she said, habeas corpus is the president's right to rendition people without due process, essentially. That's a truly stunning and bad faith twisting of communication, like, in and of itself. it's just sabotage of the truth. Poisoning of people's grip on fact. It doesn't even really define habeas corpus differently. It does it with regards to the idea of Trump having absolute power. Like, just to redefine any state or property in the universe as the president's ability to withhold safe enjoyment of that thing from you. What's the right to life about? Oh, the right to life is the president's right to unilaterally decide to withhold life from you or take your life. Oh, what's the right to liberty? Oh, that's the unilateral right of the president to, imprison you. Oh, what's the right to pursue happiness? Oh, that's the right of people to create systems that put you forever on the run from your own ability to think and self-regulate, to have time for yourself, to actually pursue your wants and needs and dreams in real time. Every day, to have the ability to pursue happiness. Not infringed, not totally stolen. We wouldn't say that the right to happiness is the president's right to obstruct you from having any chance to create anything of your own or do what you want to do. A lot of people would say that that would be like the opposite of the pursuit of happiness or the opposite of freedom. Like, freedom is not defined by the president's ability to withhold freedom. And whether or not Christine Home is cognizant of being used in this way or using language in this way, it's massively terroristic and very totalitarian, grooming kind of behavior. Truly insane. It's possible that she doesn't know. For whatever reason, I can remember being at Anwatton Junior High School and being in the room with maybe Mr. Fraze and going through habeas corpus over a few days and like things. And having a sense at the time, this was in the 80s, like 87, 88, having a sense at the time that he was really working against like some inertia to try to communicate to a room of 25 students, like, wait, this is really important, like that this exists, like the comfort that we feel being able to, trust all the rights we have, like habeas corpus. I know it's a weird word, but tune in here, everybody. Let me tell you about what this is. And tuning in enough to comprehend and get it, and how the ability to petition for habeas corpus was that was a major thing that we won through the Revolutionary War, through establishing independence, and fought to enshrine in the Constitution. It's very, 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 very strange. But this is not that complex a game of musical chairs to look at, because if she doesn't understand, just does not know what habeas corpus is, and doesn't have cliff notes for that, other than what Stephen Miller wants people to think of when they hear habeas corpus, that's like damnably dangerous. That's crazy. Mostly, like, that's not really a thing you can repair by doing some note cards for a couple of weeks to bone up on what this word means. Her lack of respect for power is demonstrated by her lack of respect for how she holds the knowledge that would allow her to responsibly use power. She doesn't know and doesn't respect the difference between black or white or, polka dotted or mayonnaise filled. Like, she doesn't appreciate that some of those things may be desirable at this or that time. We're talking about material things. We're not talking about what's the armband, which tells that you're in the Klan and so therefore you're on the winning side of something. We're not totally broken yet. So we are actually going to hold you to know what the fuck you're talking about. You don't get to say that you're here in the name of safety and security while just not being able to demonstrate you know what those words mean. Showing contempt for what makes us safe. Showing contempt for people who say, this is unsafe. This makes us feel unsafe. It does look like Stephen Miller is the only person with understanding of kind of the basics of what any of the jobs they've appointed in the cabinet are. I guess Pam Bondi comes pretty close. But it makes her and Stephen Miller, and I guess to an extent Rubio, the more intelligence that's clear, the more that the agenda becomes clear, they're unmasking as incredibly abominable people. They're unmasking as the supporters of white supremacist terrorism and enslaving women and raping children. They're championing renditioning human beings. They're championing treating people across borders as animals in the name of Jesus Christ. It's insane. It's insane. So we have to save the presidency from the president's brain, save the presidency from the president's pain, save the presidency from the president's stain. Save the presidency from the president plea. A plea from me to thee, from all to all, from all brains to all brains. All y'all come play, because imagination may be game as prey, if not play, if you're not limber and ready to make such a say. Imagination may be something upon which aim is taken by a predator aimed upon the break-in. But you can be the making of love's imagination. Better to practice as play, as imagination aim towards what you think the world should hold, because you came. What does your dream create? What does your brain dilate? What is the sentient frame to contain because of your brain, because of your mindness and its aim and gift? What if you hadn't ifed? What if you weren't here? What would it do if you had not come true? In the absence of that, give the revelation, in fact. Make it clearer and dearer and nearer that your play is resonant, that your creativity and genius and intuition is flint, and you can see into it and see other things. And it's good, isn't it? Intuition, intuate, intuade, intuit, in it, in it, in it, in it, in it. Perturb the expectation and rules of a Nazi patriarchal terrorist system. Perturb cruelty, perturb judgment, perturb white supremacy, perturb hatred. Be the agent of change. Imagination aim, imagination aim. To see sabotage and exclaim, I see something, so I say, sabotage is one thing and it must be dissolved. Be aware of flagrant, horrific abuse of human rights and Americans' rights coming from Stephen Miller, utilizing Darvo. And just keep that handy, Scoop Troop. Keep the Darbo card handy to just bring up onto the view screen if at any point you see before you the falsehood, or maybe a minion of the falsehood, such that when they speak, you remember you may be experiencing denial and attack to reverse victim and offender. You may be experiencing denial and attack to reverse victim and offender from M. Up and at M. Scoop Troop. Be aware, he is not the only minion of the falsehood, but it's likely that he may even have evidence as to the true identity of the falsehood. If we're ever to learn who has donned the falsehood, it may be through Stephen Miller. Keep it handy, Scoop Troop. Keep it handy. You are the renovation of this whole occupation.